You got it tuned to Wope Up, KEXP 90.3, online at kexp.org. I'm Darek Mazzone, your DJ and host. And now I've been playing music from a Tunisian artist who has been blowing my mind. Her name is Emel Mathlouthi, and we have her in the studio here right now, playing music from her brand new release, Ensign. Thanks for being here.
Thank you.
Let's hear some tunes. Emel Mathlouthi live in the studios on Wope Up and KEXP. That was beautiful.
Thank you.
You have a unique sound. You come from North African music, Arabic music, as a huge legacy and a really powerful voice. But you're adding all these other elements to that. How did this come about?
Well, it came when I tried to break from the legacy because I thought that we had too much weight coming from the Middle East. I mean, it's a great, of course, it's a great heritage, but it's not exactly our heritage. And it's also like the rules are so strict, and I didn't feel like there was much freedom or much growth to add to that. So I just tried to break free and while searching also for my identity, because as a Tunisian, we're not exactly Arabs. We're very close to Europe. We're part of Africa. So there's a lot of things to be confused with. Mm-hmm. And I feel that the best way to digest all of this is to feel enriched by all these different elements that are part from my culture, from my cultural heritage. And I think it appears in my music as well. It's just like a mix of a bunch of different references. And I'm just so open and very curious about any sound that could occur around me.
Okay, so you're a sponge right now. You're just taking it all in, which is beautiful.
Yeah, I think it's a good way.
It's an awesome way. What was the song about?
This song is a love song. It's about breakup, and it's about just like burying every little piece of yourself, your soul, your heart, your feelings, your dreams, your words, just to not feel pain anymore.
Mm-hmm. Okay. I don't want to get political, but I want to get cultural with you, because a lot of people don't really know much about Tunisia. What can you, as somebody who is singing this music and representing the culture, what can you tell me about Tunisia that I might not know about?
That's a tough one. Well, I'm happy to bring a window for people who don't know my country, and also probably a lot of the times a different window, because people have so much expectations and exotic visions of, it's also a lot of the times assimilated with Middle East, which is not the case at all, because North Africa is really very specific and it has its own culture. It's a small country, and that makes it quite peaceful, actually. And I think that's why we're kind of succeeding most succeed in the democratic transition, like, to bring politics.
Oh, it's true. It's amazing.
Yeah, and it's a very, for me, it's a very surprising and fantastic place, because as I was saying, we digest so many different influences and so many different music and so many different landscapes that we can't just be identified as one thing.
Okay, and now let's play another song, and then we'll go a little deeper into that. But that's fascinating. Emel Mathlouthi, live in the studios of KEXP. Thank you for being here.
I am lost.
was beautiful.
Thank you.
Emel Mathlouthi in the studios of KEXP. That's a perfect song for my next question. This is more about your life. Now, you're a musician, but you've had a really interesting trajectory to where you are right now. And correct me if I'm wrong, you started writing, you wrote songs about Tunisia. Arab Spring happened, your music is no longer allowed to be played in your country, then you moved to Paris.
Yeah, so I started writing songs, protest songs, and quite
Like
fire songs.
It's like right to the point.
Yes, mostly about freedom and revolution, and that was 2004.
Mm-hmm.
And then there was no space for me to pursue that, of course. So I left the country in 2008, and then at the revolution, my music when the revolution happened, one of my songs kind of exploded and brought light to all the work I was doing.
It was adopted by the protesters? Okay.
Yeah, I mean, it was one particular song that actually made its way on the web from the early years when it was first written and performed in France. So it started like making its way like a little wave, from 2007. And I think it always was the song that kind of brought hope and helped people believe maybe in themselves and in their dreams, in their dream of a better horizon.
I got to ask you, what did that feel like? I mean, you're in Paris and suddenly your country's taking a song that you wrote and it's their anthem. I mean, as an artist, that's like, wow.
Well, I was actually trying to do something. I wouldn't say bigger, but for me, I have written all those songs, and then I went to France and performed, and I was really focused on trying to release an album with all of that, and for me, it was like a big challenge that I put to myself to release it when the regime was on place, because a lot of the other songs were really heavy and strong with meanings, and for me, it was a big slap to just throw that and see what happens. So I was so obsessed by that goal that I actually didn't realize what was happening when it happened. It's actually my family and my friends who little by little. Then I started realizing when I went to Tunisia, and I feel like people were recognizing me in the streets. And that's when I'm like, wow, okay. So something really different happened here.
That's beautiful. Can you introduce the band, please?
Sure. So that's Sean Crowder on the drums and the electronic pads. And you hear all those mixed percussions. And that's Pierluigi Salami on the keyboards and all the different noises.
Thanks for being here. There's a lot of cinematic quality to this right now. Tell me about that. Like, is that a big part of what influences you, or just the song?
I was just about to talk about that, especially this song. I think I really find a lot of pleasure and it comes very naturally also to draw a music that's very cinematic. Maybe because my favorite thing is actually to watch movies, to go to the movies, and I think cinema, like I don't know how to translate that, but it's something that really inspired me and continue to inspire me. Like all these movies from different parts of the world, and to see how they work with music. The interaction between the image and the music. Always gave me ideas and inspired me, and somehow it reflects a little bit in my music.
No, totally, because your music brings out complex emotions. It's not just, usually it's like the one thing, feel this. There's this texture there, which is beautiful, which is what drew me to the music initially. So let's do a little bit of business. Emel Mathlouthi in the studios right now from Tunis. You're playing on May 16th at Café du Nord in San Francisco and May 17th at the Echo in Los Angeles. So you're doing the West Coast tour. That's awesome. Yeah. We'd love to hear some more music, please.
Great.
وسطي في وسطي في وسطي قنديلا يجعل النور حريرا يجعل النور حريرا في جسدي في جسدي في جسدي في جسدي سكينا يسلخ جلدا شعور يسلخ جلدا شعور راودني راودني يأمرني 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 في وسطي في وسطي قنديلا يجعل النور حريرا يجعل النور حريرا في جسدي في جسدي في جسدي في جسدي سكينا يسلخ جلدا شعور يسلخ جلدا شعور راودني راودني يأمرني 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 يأمرني
Emel Mathlouthi, live in the studios on Whoop Up on KEXP. What was that song about?
It's called Drunkeness, Thamlaton, and it's about the revolution of the cells inside the body.
Okay. Let's go a little deeper on that. What does that mean exactly?
I don't know. Actually, I started experimenting with abstract poetry, that kind of a little bit of a concept where the form matters less than the truth in the words. So I would use, because we have a very also strong history of Arabic poetry where everything has to be in the right place. And I was a little bit inspired by Lebanese American poet, Khalil Gibran, and he was the first one who kind of brought a new wind, a revolutionary wind on the way of writing in Arabic. And I like actually mixing words or letters that don't necessarily sound beautiful or easy together. And I like colliding that.
Okay. Is that play a role? The great production, great electronics. It's nice to see it performed live. There's a whole bunch of different ideas that are happening here, and different sounds from different times. I'm hearing 90s, like interesting East London kind of like almost like proto dubstep, and then coming into trip and everything like that. How did this come together? Like, take me through this process. Like, how did you go from protest songs to this particular kind of texture?
Well, there was, I hope there still is, a very interesting scene in Tunisia between the years 2000 and 2006, 2007, where we didn't have any hopes of making careers because everything was so closed and there was no support, no structures. So we kind of were free to do whatever we wanted. So we started experimenting with the Oriental or whatever heritage was there, and like shaking it and creating actually kind of a new punk, new wave Tunisian scene. And for this track, I collaborated with two old Tunisian friends who are a lot also in the techno, Tunisian techno, hardcore kind of music. And I liked experimenting with them because I knew they weren't going to have any limits. And I liked experimenting with Iraqi dabke, the rhythm that is in the bass of the song. That's an Iraqi dabke, and mixing it with kind of industrial sounds and kind of grungy, noisy stuff. I like things that are not clean.
That's beautiful. I mean, your voice is beautiful, but you've got pipes, you're taking it, all these wonderful places.
Thank you.
Thank you for being here. So anybody who's tuning in right now going like, what is this? This is awesome. You're playing May 16th at Café du Nord in San Francisco, May 17th at the Echo in Los Angeles. The new record is Ensign, out on Partisan Records. And this is Emel Mathlouthi on Wop-Up on KEXP. We'd love to hear another song.
This song now is 10 years old. And this is a song I was talking about that was really brought up to the surface by just, I think, what people felt in their hearts. And for me, I'm still proud. I mean, I was, of course, extremely honored that this song was connected to a great movement, but I was proud because actually it's not a commercial format. It's not a commercial song. And it's not easy, and it's not even like a song that we can really very easily sing along. So for me, it's interesting. I'm always curious. That's the power of music, and that's the thing that the most makes me want to do what I do and makes me believe in humanity, because humanity is able to do beautiful things like art and music. And the song is called Kelmti Horra, which means my word is free, and I thought I would share it with you today.
Thank you so much. I was hoping you would.
أنا حرار ما
أنا صوت المرثوش أنا سر الوردة الحمراء اللي عشقوا حمر تسني اللي دفنوا ريحتها نهار وخرجت بالحافة النار تنادي نصنع من الحديد صلصال ونبني بيه عشقة جديدة نصنع من الحديد صلصال ونبني بيه عشقة جديدة
Thank you. That was beautiful. Emel Mathlouthi, live in Wapa KEXP. One final question, if I may. You are now living in New York, in Harlem.
Yes.
Now, New York is one of those places where it's in the States, but it's its own country. And a lot of people move there, and they're from someplace, but they become of New York. And your sound is kind of like this, I don't want to get too technical or postmodern, shall we say. But I knew what that song is about. I can't speak Arabic, but I knew what you were feeling. And it feels like you're creating a music which will start to speak to people, even though kind of like future. So was that some of the thought of bringing it to New York, or you're like, I need to move to New York right now? What brought you here?
Well, I think I've always tried to be ambitious, and I've always wanted to widen my horizons. And at some point, I love Paris and France, but at some point, I didn't feel understood anymore. And especially when I started working on a new record, I really didn't feel that I was actually encouraged to dig more into the ideas in my head. And I thought that New York couldn't be a bad idea. And also, I like its proximity to the water, which is really important for me. So, and of course, I mean, there was a time where I used to have my metal band, and then I started playing the guitar. So I was inspired a lot by a lot of artists from here. So there's also that kind of fantasy, I think, somehow. And I'm very happy that I moved, because I would have never done the album that I did if I haven't moved. Definitely New York helped shape the album, and just kind of pushed me, like, go do whatever you're thinking of, you know, don't be afraid of anything.
Boundaries, awesome. Thanks again. Thanks for being here. This is Wopop. I'm Darek Mazzone, a DJ and host. I want to thank Jim Beckmann, Scott Holpainen, Justin Wilmore, Hannah Stevens for photos, the amazing Kevin Suggs, Joseph Vaskovitz, and Jennifer Stipich. This is Darek Mazzone. This is Wopop KEXP 90.3, where the music matters.
Discover new music at listener-powered KEXP.org.